We welcome in the studio, not playing picnic, but maybe by the end of this interview, we can talk him into just jumping on and doing something for us. I don't know. You've done so much in the past, Billy, for Q101. Maybe just one more little show.
Is that an introduction?
That's exactly how I'm introducing Billy Corgan. That's right. Welcome in. Thank you so much.
You can't see the weapon he has placed in my head. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I mean, you have a lot going on I want to talk about. Obviously, right around that time of Picnic, and when you look at the 30-year anniversary of Siamese Dream.
Yeah, wow.
And but really appreciate you coming in to talk about something special you're doing, especially with this weekend coming up. And sadly, it is one of those weekends now that you go as a Chicagoan. Oh, I remember where I was when I heard that or saw that, or like you living in the city where it happened, the tragedy last year on July 4th.
Yeah, it was crazy because my tea house is about a block away from where the incident happened, and I had just texted my partner who was on a plane and said, is the tea house open because I want to go grab a bite to eat? And she said, no, we're closed today for the parade. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay. So I go downstairs, make myself some granola. Next thing you know, here come the texts.
Oh.
Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what happened? Of course, the first couple hours, there was lots of speculation, the information. It went from there were over 50 people shot to then I heard there were only 9 people shot. And, there's a lot of different information. And then on top of that, we had an active shooter. So it wasn't unreasonable to think that be careful if you're going to go outside because you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of things that day, certainly. Of course, we found out what happened. So, we did a benefit last year at my tea house, Madame Zuzu's, and raised, I think, about $300,000.
Amazing.
Jimmy Chairman and a bunch of other great artists came in to help, Perry Farrell, and gosh, so many people that day. And then, but I knew, and I did a lot of media. I was on national TV a couple times talking about Highland Park. But I knew that there was going to be a much longer tail on this kind of recovery. And so now here we are a year later, as we're having the first anniversary of this auspicious event, we're also sort of still looking around to see who needs help.
Yep, absolutely. And you are doing help with a wonderful event through your other passion besides music. I mean, I shouldn't say other passion. You have several, but wrestling.
Yeah, the National Wrestling Alliance, the oldest wrestling company in the world, 75 years this year.
The NWA.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're coming back to Highland Park for a second time, and we're doing this benefit for the Cooper family. Cooper Roberts was the youngest victim that day. It's a total miracle he survived.
Yeah.
His injuries were vast and ongoing. And I found out, through some back channels that, and we had some third-party contact with the Roberts family after the incident. We kind of left them alone, but they knew that we were there if they needed help, me and my partner, Chloe. And so we found out that they're still hurting a little bit. So we wanted to step up and do something fun. So we're actually doing a free event at the Rec Center in Highland Park with the National Wrestling Alliance, a 10-match card. So if you just want to come and be supportive of the Roberts family, because we do have a lot of people in the Highland Park area, even though it's a very affluent community, we have a lot of people that work up there that are not very wealthy. And so we want everyone to feel that they can come and support the family. And it's just donations encouraged. So
that's amazing. Also, there's some kind of VIP packages, I believe, like $75 for a front row. That also goes to the family.
Yeah, we sold some of those. And so if people want to go to nwatix.com. We're encouraging people to reserve their tickets in advance. And you can reserve your ticket for a very nominal amount. It's like $1 or $2 just to reserve your ticket so you can make sure you get a ticket because we do have a fire marshal capacity.
Yeah.
But we're encouraging certainly the big spenders to come in, and some people have already stepped up and are adding to the sponsor packages. So, but again, we want this to be a community event because, and I talked to Keely Roberts, Cooper's mom, about this on the phone. Cooper Roberts in many ways has become the face of that particular tragedy because he being the youngest victim. His twin brother was standing right next to him and thankfully wasn't hurt, but you can imagine the trauma that the brother has gone through. She told me that it took a lot of convincing to convince his brother Luke that his brother was actually still alive because he saw him laying there lifeless.
Wow.
I mean, 1,000 stories like this that we hear in the local community. So, but Keely was really wise to point out that, though she really appreciates I want to do something for the Roberts family, we're trying to also publicly remind people that people in Highland Park still need your support. Even if it's just kindness, coming up and shopping in the local businesses. I certainly don't mind if you come to my tea house either. But the point is no, but listen, and I say that jokingly, but listen, as somebody who owns a business there, on July 5th, I wasn't sure anyone was ever going to come back to Highland Park again.
Yeah.
We have a very big downtown with a lot of different businesses, and we support a lot of people in the community with jobs. I wasn't sure you were going to get the customers back. I mean, once you have an incident like that, what is the protocol like? What is the next step? There isn't one.
No. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what you did last year with that event, by the way, and the new one. So we'll have all this information. If you're hearing this in your car, we'll put it all up at Q101.com so you can get all this information to get to the NWA event. It's so fun to hear you say that, too. Just the legendary NWA, the wrestling league. And just my youth comes back when I hear that, of course.
It. The cool thing about wrestling is very much a unifying thing. It sort of seems to cross every kind of boundary we have in this world. And we're bringing, we're going to have 5 championship matches out of 10. So we're bringing an A-level card to the community for fun and for free. And the next day on July 9th, we're having a TV taping of our show. So people want to see how we tape our NWA television. Those tickets are also available.
Right on. It's Brian and Kenzie with Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. Again, the event, all that information will be at Q101.com. We're talking about this like at 4 a.m. before you got here. And Kenzie brought up an interesting point about wrestling and regret in life of what she didn't do. And
did you want to work in professional wrestling?
Okay.
Okay, wait, stop. You can come be on the show if you want to be on the show.
See,
I'm offering you that invitation right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I could have done it, and I was so
Okay, here's what we do. Here's what we do. We'll bring you in to manage somebody.
But see,
please.
But before we continue, that's a great offer. Tell him what you told me this morning.
It sounds bad. It sounds bad out of context. I learned about wrestling later in life. So I was in my 20s in Florida, and I'm like, these women have made a career out of this. How many fights I got in Florida for free? Like, this is unbelievable. What a mistake I've made.
She's cleaned up what she said earlier about the fights that she'd been in her youth.
It's true.
With fighting people.
Yes, but we should have you come in and manage. The great thing about the women in the NWA is some of the toughest women in all of professional wrestling. So I think you'd be very impressed with how tough, and I think we could find a spot for you if you want to be on the show.
Okay.
I want a villain arc. I want it.
You want to be we say, in wrestling we say you want to be a baby face or a heel.
Ooh.
See, the problem is because of who you are in Chicago, you're going to be a baby face. They're going to cheer for you.
Okay.
So it's hard to make you a heel. We have to set you up, and then if you want to be a bad guy later.
We'll get there.
I know. I love how you just want to jump right to bad guy.
I know.
Or bad girl.
It's more fun to turn heel, though. That's much more fun.
I've played heel, as you know, in public for 30 years. I've played heel, and it's a lot of fun. I've gotten a lot of memes out of it.
Did you plan on starting heel with your music career? Did you start that?
No, you know what? Believe it or not, I in the mid-'90s when I was having my issues with the media and stuff like that, I started playing heel, not really realizing what I was doing. And it wasn't until the late 90s when I started hanging out wrestling, I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. So then I did it worse. Then I got in more trouble. And then, now I'm back to babyface.
Babyface Billy Corgan. Who knew?
Babyface Billy.
Yeah. All right, Kenzie, you got what you wanted. That was really easy.
Oh, my God. This is my dream job. Bye, Q101. I'm going to manage.
You got the perfect voice for it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You're attractive. That helps.
Thank you.
All right. Listen, I want to play a song, obviously, Spellbinding.
Thank you very much.
The video dropped this week. That's
just yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. We used the video gaming engine to do it, and we had to wear the weird suits with the little balls on it. But it turned out really cool.
Yeah.
It's like a $1 million, $2 million video, but we're all video game characters. So it turned out really, really interesting.
Because it seems weird to have a big budget for a video right now. I guess I'm.
Well, that's kind of what I'm. Sorry, I misspoke. What I'm saying is for a modest amount, we're able to make a video that looks like $2 million because we're in the video game engine.
Yeah.
If we try to actually shoot that video in reality, it would be impossible.
No budget for that. It's got to go to the wrestling.
No one wants to spend that kind of money on it. Listen, I at least existed in the 90s when we could spend that kind of money on videos, and it was a lot of fun to spend all that money. Of course, we had to pay it all back. But,
oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I got to say, that song, even though it's the brand new song, if you will, it just takes me back to the first time I heard the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm not sure if that's what your intention was or when you wrote that song or how that plays out.
Have you heard the story of that song?
Oh, you can tell me. That'd be great.
The short version is we had the opening part, do-do-do-dee-dee-doo, and that's all we had. And we were in the studio, Jimmy Chamberlain and I. And so we knew the next day we were going to record the drums for that song. Well, that morning I had a dream. And in the dream, I woke up singing this. Out of the dream, I woke up to "Take Me Away, I'm Gonna Find You." So it was playing in my head when I woke up out of the dream.
No way.
And I thought, well, okay, this is not a song I've never heard. So I sat down and I recorded on my phone. So when I came in, I beat Jimmy to the studio. And so I said to Howard, our friend and co-producer, hey, can we just record this idea real quick? It's kind of cool. So then we started working on what became Spellbinding. And then when we got bored at some point, I said, I wish we had something different there. And I was like, oh, yeah, what about that idea I had from the dream this morning? And we dropped the idea, and it was like, it was perfect. It was like the same tempo, and it was a related key somehow. And it was an unusual key. So it was like it was meant to be. So that's the chorus came out of the dream.
Wow.
Oh, my dreams have never gotten me anywhere. I can't believe that.
You dreaming up the toaster on or something?
That's amazing.
I know. I wish it happened all the time.
Yeah. How though, like, let's say, the songs that we know, let's just say like Cherub Rock, for example, 30th anniversary of Siamese Dream this year. And
I got a good story on that one, too.
Oh, yeah, just give me that, because that's the song that I remember when I first put it in my car, in my 6-disc changer in the trunk. When you hear Jimmy's marching band, boom, it just, I instantly said, oh, my God.
So I used to live, if anybody knows Chicago, I used to live on the northwest side, Austin, Addison area. And somebody picked me up. And as I was waiting to be picked up, I suddenly heard this riff in my head. And this is back in the day before phones. So the guy picked me up and I said, don't say anything. And I spent the 25 minutes going down Irving Park singing the riff in my head, and got to my apartment, which was above the music box theater, grabbed my guitar and figured out the riff, and that's the riff.
What?
But it just came to me. I was just standing there. I heard this weird riff. It's like in my mind, very slurry. And that's it.
Jeez.
I mean, these are great stories, but it doesn't always happen like this. It's usually a lot more boring.
It sounds like, Billy just walks down the street and, Disarm comes up in his head. Oh, cool. Got that one too. Another, iconic song of the last 30 years, just comes into your head.
Well, can I ask a musical question?
Of course you can ask me anything
And
you
I
want.
asked Brian
now that you're
this
part
morning,
of the NWA, me and you were like...
Well, we work together, so we're coworkers.
Kenzie's coming out from the back. I want to do the announcing on that when she comes out from the locker room.
Don't steal my job. You don't know my stuff.
Sorry, I want to hear your question, but that's it. She's out talking, saying hi to the crowd. You come out, and she's like, I didn't know you were going to be here. You're like, well, I jumped in my car. I wanted to say hi, and then you get mad, and then you turn on him.
And I hit you with a chair.
And you hit him with a chair.
Which is what I want to do during the show.
We don't do headshots. It's only to the back.
Yeah.
So there's your
can't reach his head.
I got your heel turn booked already. Because he had a glom onto your spotlight.
Yeah.
This was your thing.
He always does that
That's
to
what
me.
I do. That's my character. That's
All right,
it.
back to your question. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyways.
I can't wait for this question because I know what she's going to ask you.
Because I asked Brian this morning, just in case I was missing something very obvious. So I'm like, am I stupid? I love the song, and I've never known why. Why is it named Mayonnaise? And I even looked up the lyrics specifically because I'm like, maybe I'm mishearing some of the lyrics.
Before you answer, I told her Billy loves mayonnaise on everything.
And I do too. I put mayonnaise on everything.
Well, I'm vegan now, so we do Veganaise. But there is a story to that. So the first time we went to Japan around 1991 or 92, we met the guy who was like our interpreter, and he worked for the record label. And so we were doing all these interviews, and they would just have you do endless interviews, like 12 hours of interviews, where you would just go absolutely nuts, right? Same question 12 times. So as we were bored in between some of the interviews, we grabbed a copy of our first album, Gish, and then we opened it up, and it was the Japanese edition. And then we saw that somebody had translated all the lyrics because there was not, and so one of the songs said something, it was Rhinoceros, the guy had written something about mayonnaise seas. He had misinterpreted my lyric.
Oh my God.
So we're seeing the lyric in English and Japanese. So I got upset. And so I said to the guy from the label, who the heck translated these lyrics? These are completely wrong. He goes, well, I did.
Oh.
And I go, mayonnaise seas? He goes, well, that's what I heard. So it became this running joke in the band about mayonnaise or mayonnaise seas or something. So it just seemed funny to us. I don't know.
And another song.
So it has no relation to the song.
I feel so
much
much
better. It's an inside
better.
joke.
It's an inside joke.
Yes.
I love that.
I wanted to ask you and then just see what happened. And now I know what happened. It actually was a reasonable question, actually. Very reasonable. Well, listen, Billy Corgan's here talking about the benefit that's going on with his National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, up in Highland Park to benefit. Obviously, this weekend, a lot of people have some really emotional things going on and memories of myself included. Of the events last year. So again, at Q101.com, we have all the information about this charity event coming up for Cooper Roberts and the victims. And so appreciate you doing that, by the way. For, true Chicagoan, Talked about riding the Metro train in today to get downtown.
My joy.
Your happy place?
Me on a train, no.
I'm just hanging out here with Billy Corgan in the studio. Brian and Kenzie here on Q101, and came in to talk about the NWA special event going on in Highland Park to benefit the Highland Park victims. The tragedy 1 year ago, and all tickets and proceeds from the event will go to the Cooper Roberts Family Help Hope Live. That organization, that's what it's called correctly?
Yeah, it's a little confusing because there's a GoFundMe and there's a 501(c), so people can donate to either. But we've arranged so when people come to the door or in advance, they're able to donate to either fund.
Yeah. So it's a great event. All the information, Q101.com. Get up there for it. And also, it's going to be a blast. I mean, it's wrestling, and Kenzie may be coming out in some kind of form of
a lot of people with the anniversary July 4th coming up. A lot of people asking me about the sort of the mood in the city, and I can feel it's like people are starting to get tense again. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I felt that feeling, and so I think it'd be good because this event's on July 8th, and I think just after that we'll get the kind of the anniversary out of the way, and people go back to life, and this would be a good way to kind of kick off the summer. Yeah,
I want to talk about another event, actually, with Q101 back in September when you played the Metro, where we gave all the tickets.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that.
Because I haven't seen you in person since that, and one of the most incredible nights in the history of the Metro. And I remember looking up at some point during the show and just seeing how, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, no, you were so happy.
That sounds negative to me.
No!
I mean, there's this very, like, you were having a party, and I just pictured yourself in some of the songs thinking about the first time you played those songs at the Metro.
Sure.
That's kind of what I envisioned. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I think if anybody knows the band story, it's not always been a bed of roses, to quote the lyric. So I think at this point for us to be together and be able to play those songs. I mean, when here we are, we're talking about songs that are 30 years old.
Yeah,
30 years old, long time. It's hard for me to believe that Siamese is 30 years old this year. So I think it's for us. It's I'm not saying we're not a party band, but I think it's just enjoyable. You know what I mean? We've been through all the hard stuff. I think this is the nice end of the movie.
It's funny because. My wife, we just announced, or she was 8 months pregnant for that show when she came to the show. We got up in the balcony.
She came to the show 8 months pregnant.
8 months pregnant.
Okay.
I talked to Joe Shanahan. He said it was fine. We'll get a nice spot up in the balcony. No one will get near and all that. So we did that, and then I think the show got louder.
It does. No, he does that on purpose.
Yeah.
And I can tell because I can tell on stage when he goes louder, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so loud.
Near the end, it was really crushing volume, and the songs you chose at the end there. I'm trying to remember that there was Rocket and Encore first, and I'm trying to remember the order at the end. But anyway, it was so loud and long. And then at one point, my wife looked over and said, "I think our baby's going to be deaf." She got really
born in that moment.
Yeah, either one. She was very nervous, and I said, "We're not leaving. It's not done yet." And I said, "We're not." Now, she loves you, and she was loving what's going on. But he said, "It's gotten louder, right?" I said, "Yeah."
You know how because sometimes people will bring their babies to our gigs, and they'll have the little earmuffs on.
We have the headphones.
The gun range.
Yep.
It's like, are there gun range?
The gun range.
Earmuff headphones for fetuses.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Well, because we're not going to miss a concert, so something's got to give.
But when I see I don't know, when I see like the 6-month-old infant with the gun range headphones on in the crowd, I always think, is that okay? Like, you know what I mean? I'm performing, you know what I mean? So I got a lot going on, but I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, to be fair, you can't miss a pumpkin show because you don't know if it's going to happen again.
That's true.
Listen, you've been in their life for over.
That's a good point.
You've been in people's lives for over 30 years. That baby just got there, So.
Yeah. Everything was fine. Baby was born.
No, thank God.
One of the first things they did was test the hearing in the delivery room. I know you have some kids, and maybe you saw them do that. And I was like, dodged the bullet with that one.
Yeah, someone told me the other day that they came to my show pregnant, but they were on the side of the stage. And when I walked off the stage, I put my hands on her belly and predicted the sex of the baby.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you right?
Yes, of course.
That's only a 50-50 chance.
I think I predicted a boy, but so I think something about being on stage, your senses really open up. So I'm not saying I turn incredibly psychic, but I feel a little more psychic.
Yeah.
And I just went over and I was like, oh, it's going to be a boy. And I walked away.
Oh my God.
That's wild. Talking about, going back in that 30 years, is there anything special planned for the 30th anniversary of
We are
Siamese
trying to plan something. We can't talk about it yet.
Oh, damn. So I heard some stuff, and I thought I'd just throw it at him, see if he said it. So I guess not. Okay.
Well, okay. Let's speak in code. Did what you hear sound cool to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So
that's it.
that thing that we both can't talk about, that's we can't talk about it yet, but hopefully that's going to happen.
What I heard is we're going to your house,
Yeah.
and it's private performance.
Just you two.
Yeah, just
It's a
us.
potluck.
That's
We'll
right.
both bring
Your
something.
significant others, of course.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And the kids. So
Yes.
parties 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And
Yeah. And speaking of which, you mentioned your partner Chloe, and congratulations, engaged now officially.
Yeah. As I like to tell my friends, I'm not married yet.
Correct. Now, last time we talked to you,
Dude, that sound romantic.
No. I
just
would
made-
leave it.
you just made this
I'd
face.
leave it out of the vows. I wouldn't word it like that.
yeah, it's not that making
Well, we've
her.
been together for 11 years. We have 2 children.
Yeah.
And I did tell her when we first met that if we survived, which was improbable because we're 26 years apart, and if we did have 2 kids, that I would marry her. So after she had the second, she was like, kind of did the, all right.
Did the Jordan shrug?
And I put it off for like another 4 years. So
Oh, she's patient.
she does have the patience of a saint, especially being with me.
Well,
She's patient. What's your dream wedding though? What would you?
I think we're having it.
Yeah. What would it be?
Well, I can't say. She's become the security mama, so I can't talk about the details.
What big, small, none of that?
Well, let me put it this way. I was married once before. I got married in a house that I had by Wrigley Field. It's still there. It's a purple Victorian painted little mansion. And I borrowed my suit and I did not take it seriously. So let's just say if I'm going to get married again, I'm going to try to take this more seriously.
That's good. I think that's
Does
a
that
better.
sound more romantic?
That was more romantic than the first thing.
I don't know how much more romantic it is. I'm going to take it more seriously than borrowing a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did say to my partner, if we're going to have a wedding, I certainly plan on it being my last. I want it to be really nice. So the plan is to make it very nice.
So we had Chloe on the phone, Kenzie, last time. We talked to
Yeah.
Billy, and I don't know how you feel about. We were talking about the word partner, if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I'm old. I want to say I'm old, but I'm older, and I don't know. Girlfriend just sounds so. And she's again 26 years younger. So when you say like, okay, when you're walking down the street, this is even before kids, right? Walking down the street, hey, who's that? Oh, that's my girlfriend. You just come off like some slimy LA guy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, wink. Sure, that's your girlfriend. You guys are
What about
recording
fiancé?
in the studio together. I'm sure you're writing some hits for her. You know what I mean? It's like that setup.
yeah,
So, partner just seems to be, I don't know, more PBS somehow.
When you're married though, will you say wife or will you still say partner?
Well, she's been saying husband for years. She even started in interviews. I think she was doing that thing where you sort of seed the world and it becomes reality.
yeah.
Wife, I guess, yeah. I'll figure it out.
It doesn't sound like a little kid thing to say. So if that's the
I don't know. Wife, I think the problem is we live in this very contentious culture where sometimes even the word wife, somehow people look at it sort of negatively.
Yeah, I used to call my wife lady friend before we got married.
Yikes.
I know, she didn't like that
Lady
at all.
friend is, whoa.
that's not
I
good.
thought partner was bad.
Lady friend that's a step down from girlfriend. That's not good.
It's my lady, because I'm like you. I don't like the word girlfriend. I'm older than her too. So, and I was like, if girlfriend just sounded weird.
Significant other sounds pretentious.
Yeah, it sounds like a business. Even partner kind of sounds like a business
Soulmate.
relationship. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. Add more stuff like that.
I'm
to
looking
the
at you.
vows.
I'm looking at you for the words that work.
Yeah.
Soulmate was good. Stick on that path.
But then he has to say soulmate like in an interview. Like he'll say, "Oh, my soulmate." I'm going like, "Geez."
Hey,
Well,
but
she did drop that on me once because at some point I said to her like, "Look, I can't do this. I got to get away from you. You're making me insane." And she just looked at me and said, "That's fine. Do what you got to do. But you're my soulmate, and you're not going anywhere."
Oh,
Oh, I love her. She sounds
Oh no,
great.
she's no joke.
yeah.
She's no joke. She runs the shop.
And what was your response to that? You're like, okay.
I knew she was right, which was really annoying. Did you ever have that? Not to be personal, but you ever have that where you love someone and they know it and you know it and,
Yeah.
you're like kind of stuck, but it's
The
not a bad
worst.
stuck, right? It's kind
No,
of like
yeah, because they know that they could like annoy you a little, but you're gonna be around. Like my husband told me it wasn't even a date. The first day he met me, he told me that we were gonna get married.
wow.
And
he
I was-
just knew.
Yeah, the first.
Okay, wait. So when he asked you that, did that freak you out?
I go, we're either going to get married or I'm going to be like made into a lampshade. One of the two is going to
Oh my
happen. I
God.
can't tell which one. One of them. And he was
That's awful.
right. It was right.
Yeah. Well, as we're finding out, relationships are complicated.
They're
They
complicated.
can be complicated in what you label on them, and just as long as you love each other and take care of each other.
If you think being in the Pumpkins is hard, try being in a relationship with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like partnering, I think, is the hardest thing in the world. I'm not saying that for everybody. I think falling in love and being with somebody and really building a life, I think, is really, really tough. I don't mean it in a negative way.
Sure.
Because the rewards.
Right.
Now that I have kids and, I mean, that's better than anything I've ever accomplished in the world by far.
Better than Cherub Rock.
Yeah.
Even though it came in, I'm trying to do a segue into playing the song.
Do you honestly think he's going to be like, no, I like the song better than my children?
No, but I get the joke, but let me put it this way. My kids go through different levels of insecurity as they figure out, my son is 7 and my daughter's 4, as they figure out who I am in the world, in varying degrees. And at different times I see where it makes them feel insecure because they understand their father has a relationship with the world that they don't have any control over.
Yeah.
Or how, like, somebody will just come up to me in a store and they'll say, why did that guy come up and talk to you? Well, he knows me from the band or something like that. It creates a little insecurity in them that's sort of unusual.
Yeah.
And sometimes whether I got to go on tour or whatever, it's typical stuff. Your kids kind of get grumpy, And I always say to them, like, look, nothing daddy's created is more important than you.
Oh.
You are number one and number 1A. You understand? The two of you, like, you are the most important things.
Look at that.
That's really sweet.
And I mean it. I really do.
I believe you,
I
man.
feel that in the depth of my heart, whatever's left.
No.
Soulmates.
Soulmates. And we talked so much about the 30th anniversary of Siamese Dream and something very special and awesome and cool coming. I'll try to have Kenzie do a wrestling move on Billy during the song. Let's
I'm
see if
so
we can
excited.
get more information out of it. Hearing that song reminds me of that car, and I loved that car. That was my first car I ever had that was, decent. That didn't, you don't see, one thing I wonder is you don't see junker cars on the road very much anymore. There's like old cars, but they all look pretty nice still.
Yeah, whatever the junker market's pretty dead, I think, right?
Just the catalytic converter market is big, but other than that, yeah, the junker car market, I don't know. We have Billy Corgan here, Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and so graciously came in today to talk about a charity event he has going up, the NWA, the wrestling event up in Highland Park at the Rec Center of Highland Park, and it benefits charitable fund for Cooper Roberts. As we approach this weekend, I mean, all of us are getting that little pit in our stomach over the tragic events a year ago, and everybody remembers where they were and how that day played out, how long it did too, how long. And so we really appreciate you doing that, as you've already done a ton of stuff for Highland Park and the family, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a role I would have expected. I've lived in Highland Park for about 20 years, and my children were born there, and that's, of course, where I have my tea house business. But, having to kind of step into a leadership role, it's not something I would have expected. But the amazing thing is, and this is where I would encourage other people to lead, is the level of support I've gotten from the community, because I sort of put myself out there and said, I need to do something. So many people have stopped and thanked me, said, thank you. That's what we need. Like, we need people to step up.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where you don't wait for somebody to ask you, you just do.
Yeah.
And until you're in a situation like that. Like, perfect example, there's a shop next to us, and we're very friendly with them, called Once Upon a Bagel. And two of the gentlemen that worked at Once Upon a Bagel, I think still work there, they were both shot. But they were also in a situation where they couldn't take off work. So once everything opened up, like, say, a week after the incident, they were back at work they still had shrapnel in their bodies.
Oh, my God.
And somebody brought me in there to say hello to them, because the owner of the place at the time wanted me to meet them so that they could understand that I was one of the people trying to raise money in the local community. And their first reaction was so off-putting, and I felt bad. And what it was is they thought people were coming in to stare at them.
Oh.
Like a tourism thing. Because,
Yeah.
as you
That's
can imagine, a lot of
horrible.
people flooded into Highland Park because there were the makeshift memorials. So that whole summer last year, we had a lot of people just come in the community to pray, grieve, talk, candlelight vigils, yeah. And so I think their first reaction was, oh, this guy's just coming in because we were involved or something. And, you feel so like it's something you never even crossed my mind that somebody would do. But here they were in this situation and they're in a very public job working at a restaurant.
Yeah.
They almost didn't want people to know that they'd been in the shooting because they didn't want anybody asking questions.
Oh,
That's
heartbreaking.
That's the stuff that you don't hear about, but you hear about in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep, it's going to be a rough weekend. It's just it's just supposed to be a joyous weekend, and it's just gonna you can't help the things that are coming to your head.
Well, I think one of the best parts about America is that somehow we again and again in our history have taken really difficult situations and we figured out how to make the best of it. We still haven't figured out how to make the best of stopping these horrible incidences that can continue. But in terms of this community, I think the community has really rallied around the best of what the community has to offer. And it's wild because, I'll go downtown Highland Park, right where the incident happened. And, there was an ice cream shop there. And, that's where we go get our ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my kids don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
Haven't told them. Eventually they're going to figure it out.
Right.
But, to be standing there and think, yep, this, 6 months ago, this is where all these people were laying. And it's like so crazy, but you're right back in the community and you just got to move on
and support that community. You don't want to stop also doing that either.
Well, that's I'm gonna try to say this artfully because it's not an easy thing to say. When something like that happens, there is the tragedy, there are the victims, but then there is the thing that happens afterwards where because people are afraid, that becomes almost a different layer of victimization. Where now people are afraid to live and just be in the community and talk to one another. And so I think trying to put that back into Highland Park, like we need to do things like have shows. In my tea house, we have comedy shows. The first comedy show after July 4th that we had in my tea house, I went there because it was like, is anyone going to laugh?
Yeah.
And people were crying and laughing at the same time because it just felt so good to laugh because the whole community was in mourning, right? So just to get back to life is the greatest thing to say, no, you can't take that from us. You can do what you did and we're forever going to remember what's happened, but you can't take the other thing from us. You're not going to take who we are, the way that we want to live. And I think that was a really important message to send.
That's perfectly said. Perfectly said. And doing the wrestling event, obviously it's going to be a blast for people. Yeah. On Saturday, July 8th.
Well, we go total absurdity, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's it. It's just to have fun.
Yep. Speaking of which, 630 text in. A lot of you want to ask you questions because we've uncovered a lot of interesting thing, and you guys can text in 312-591-8300 before Billy gets out of here. But here we go. Ask Billy this. Did he really have a rivalry with Nirvana, and is he going to wrestle Dave Grohl at an NWA event?
No, on Grohl. Love Dave. And no, the rivalry, I said some things in some recent interviews, and we live in this clickbait world. And what I was trying to say was like, Kurt was this incredible artist. And, when he was alive and we were both in our mid-20s, well, both bands were competing for the same spot. And so people take that and somehow they turn it into something that it isn't. I think we look back now and we can see that amongst the 90s bands, the Pumpkins and Nirvana and Nine Inch Nails and Soundgarden and, Stone Temple Pilots, there were a lot of bands competing for the top spots. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So people try to turn into this weird thing, like somehow it was like something dark, and no, it's just good competition.
Yeah.
It's like you got a Bulls jersey on your wall. I mean, why do we go to the games? Because we want our team to win. There's nothing wrong with that.
We wanted Pumpkins to win because that was Chicago. That was our team.
Amen.
Yeah.
Team Billy. That's right. And you did win.
Well, I mean, I thought, and people get grumpy too because they think somehow. So here, imagine I've been doing these interviews saying Kurt was by far the most talented person of our generation. So I'm basically saying, I'm waving the white flag and saying he won on the talent pool, right?
Yeah.
But I dare put myself in the conversation so then people get mad about that. Like I don't have any right, but my band was one of the biggest bands of the era and still a big band. It's like, I'm not like some delusional guy up in Highland Park talking about what happened 30 years ago. Only, you know what I mean?
The guy with his letter.
Didn't we just play the United Center and sell it out? You know what I'm saying? It's this weird thing where people want to sort of play this weird game with, what you have a right to say and not say.
Yeah.
I think I have every right, knowing everybody involved, having played with Nirvana, knowing Kurt a little bit personally. I've been very transparent about what was and what it wasn't. And somehow it gets turned into this thing that's like a rivalry. And there's no rivalry. It's just all love and respect.
You're wearing your leather jacket up there at the tea shop, telling old war stories about the
Here's
Pumpkins.
the one thing I would say, and I'm re-quoting myself. I wish Kurt was still alive because I want to compete against the best, and he was the best. So how's that a rivalry if I want the guy that I respected to still be here writing great songs? It's such a strange thing to say. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That
Right, like
people
it
try
makes you better.
But I'm saying, why would people twist that? We lost a lot of great music and a lot of great inspiration that Kurt provided for a lot of people when he died, right? So why is it a bad thing to say, I wish he was still here because I want to compete against him?
Mm-hmm.
But people twist that even.
Well, everything you say today on social, people, like you said, it's a clickbait thing. People want to take a phrase and then say, Billy said he hated Kurt. That's how that would come out.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how it would come out.
No, there was no hate there.
Yeah.
There was only respect.
Yeah.
Or awe. I mean, I was in awe. Speaking of Metro, I saw Nirvana play in 1990 on the Bleach tour with the original drummer. They were unbelievable. It wasn't even sold out. It was about 500-600 people there.
Yeah.
So imagine me in 1990. I'm a nobody. I'm in the crowd. I'm watching this band on their first album, and I'm going, oh, my God, that's the guy. Okay. So I started there. You know, I mean, I didn't start after Teen Spirit. I was there in the beginning.
Yeah. Right on. That's very. I'm glad you said it differently that way because, like you said, things go around that have been traveling around social right now. Things you said in maybe other.
My biggest issue is we live in an environment where people are afraid to just speak their heart, and when you speak your heart, it doesn't always come out perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Well, no matter what anyone says, you can find a way to spin it or twist it.
That's fine too.
Right.
I mean,
so if you're a negative person,
I mean, if your job is sitting around trying to write troll headlines, good luck to you. You know.
Yeah. If that's your life and your day is to take something and try to get upset, then
that's the definition of Satanism. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to take a good thing and make it a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think of the state of everything right now? I mean, in
which
music?
part?
Well, we got
the city burning down, the world burning down, music imploding, AI.
Goes back to your goth beginnings.
TikTok. Would you like TikTok?
Yeah,
TikTok.
Yeah. I mean,
actually, Pumpkins are doing really, really well on TikTok, so I can't complain there.
Yeah, little snippets in a perfect video, and it comes out right, and also does introduce you to new people. I hate to say it does work.
What did Booker T, the great wrestler, used to say? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're all in this bigger game, right? You know, there's the global politic, there's a bigger game. What's going on politically in Chicago, there's bigger games. I think the average person feels they can't really do much at all. And I'm not here to say you can do more than you can do, but I'm a person who has tried to figure out how to do more with what I have. And generally speaking, I've been able to do that. So whether it's to do charity things for other people, whether it's to figure out a way to navigate my band through different eras of the music business, survive the band imploding and getting back together and all those things, that's just life.
It's amazing. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming in. We both appreciate you coming in and spending this much time with us.
You going to come to the event?
Hell yeah.
All right.
We'll get some information.
All right.
Kenzie's new in NWA now.
Yep.
Probably not for that July 8th event. It might be a little too quick for the charity event to get up to speed.
I don't know. We'll let Billy and I work this out.
No. All she has to do is manage.
Still might need some work, though.
Just a manager.
I'm a manager at heart. As
soon as we go to commercial, I'll tell you the pitch.
Okay.
I'll give you the pitch.
I'm excited.
Billy Corgan, thank you so much for what you coming in and all that, and we appreciate you so much. All the information at Q101.com about the charity event for Highland Park.